So the first part I'm gonna cover is the components and its introduction. So I hope you are basically aware the how PEB structures are constructed. So first of all, let me just give you a philosophy part. Now see, in the earlier times we used to design a simple frame, right, like this. So in that particular we get the bending moment diagram based on our support condition, whatever the condition we have. Okay, so this one is basically for the fix, if you have a fixed support. Okay, now see, if you have a pin support, then what will be the situation? Let's say it's a pin, then this will be my diagram. Okay, something like this. Now to save the material part, what is pre-engineering building is gone through that. What we do, basically we provide a tapered section, right? So in a tapered part, what we do, wherever we have maximum bending moment, based on this moment requirement we provide that much amount of section, right? So due to that, in the earlier history we provide a full section, but in the pre-engineering building structure what we do, we work out the profile for the bending moment and shear force, and based on this profile, if you observe, you can model a simple frame like this with a fix and pin support. So you will get some idea about this particular frame behavior in case of your bending moment or shear force diagram. So depending upon that bending moment profile, we are providing the section where we have maximum bending moment, okay, or where we have minimum bending moment. Based on that we will provide the minimum section profile. So that is the basic logic behind this one. Okay, and based on that pre-engineering building structures are worked out. So basically what we do, in the stat modeling, some people follow single span design. They usually just model a truss based on the client's requirement. Let's say you have a 10-meter span truss, or you have 15-meter span truss. Okay, and based on the configuration, you go with a simple truss modeling. In that particular you have wind load, your dead load, and you evaluate the structural configuration, and whatever the support reactions you are getting, you are directly transferring that particular to the columns. Okay, so that is the first approach. You are analyzing only a single frame using a truss. Okay, and you have to transfer these reactions to the column model. So I'll show you that particular model as well. Now the other approach, in the other approach, the secondary frame is separately modeled like this. Okay, so let's say we have a truss like this. So you have already analyzed the truss, okay, and whatever the reactions you are getting, you will directly transfer that reactions and moment to this second structural model. Where I used to work, we followed this philosophy. Now you may have question why we need to do this. Now see, basically in the truss component or in the pre-engineering building component, we are going to design based on the axial loading as well as flexural loading. So if you are providing the load component in terms of truss, then your loading should be accurate. Now instead you can model this whole 3D as well, okay, but the load transfer mechanism is a little bit different. Okay, so for accurate results, some consultants prefer to go by two separate models, as I explained. Okay, they will transfer load on the truss, they work out this truss model separately. Okay, apply the wind load, dead load, and whatever the reactions we are getting, based on these reactions we transfer these reactions into other model, that is your basic frame, that is your column beam. Okay, so we transfer. So I'll teach you about this particular as well, how you can do this. Okay, so these two separate models are constructed, or you can go with the 3D part as well. So we're gonna understand this particular philosophy instead, how you can do this. Now let's go through the component part. Now see, in design you may have different structural configurations. So today I am sharing few structural configurations which are generally preferred to go by the structural engineers or the PEB manufacturers. Okay, so first of all we will start with the basic parameters that defines a pre-engineering building. So that is the first part. I have already mentioned here, the building width, building length, its height, roof slope, and base spacing, interior base spacing, design loads, and ancillary service areas required. So ancillary service areas means its purpose, for which particular purpose you are utilizing this. Now see, pre-engineering building structures, either it can be used for a storage facility, it can be used for a manufacturing or processing plant unit, or it can be used for the electromagnetic processing plant unit as well, or the automobile industry plant. So based on the requirement of the client, let's say it's a automobile industry. Okay, so you are a little bit aware about the automobile industry, that in that particular we have chain processing, right? They used to go with the installation of the machines in the car, then they will paint, and all this manufacturing process are inline process. So in that particular, their major requirement will be building length, right? So in such scenarios you have a huge span. Now if it's a small processing unit plant, let's say you have a processing plant of some masala industrial plant or segment, so in that particular you have a single manufacturing unit system, so it can be with a less width to length ratios. Okay, so based on client requirements you will get all the design parts. Okay, now I'll show you main components which we are usually design as per the Indian philosophy. Okay, so portal frames are designed either with the built up members, or it can be a single unit. Okay, so it can be a channel segment as well. Okay, but if you are going with the PEB part, these particular sections are already available in the market by the PEB manufacturers. But if you are going with the least price or with a small budget, okay, then you can go with the plates of built up members which are available, means thickness of the plates based on 6 mm, 8 mm, 10 or 12 mm. Fabricators used to develop the tapered section in the fabrication shop, and then they will develop the PEB section. So these two kinds of process are followed in the industry right now. If you go by PEB engineers, they will directly provide you the sections based on your length, width and all that. Okay, but that is for the huge projects. But if you have a small projects, or the client requirement is with the budget and economy, let's say for a small project of 10 to 12 meter span, then they used to prefer the fabrication shop part. Okay, so they will design this tapered section on the fabrication shop. They will merge the plate by the welding and create a tapered section, okay, by shop fabrication. So these two methodologies are followed. So we have the portal frames in terms of built up members. Okay, as I told you, they will connect the plates and create a tapered profile. Then the other components are purlin and girts. So these are the cold form members. Okay, and I have mentioned the Codal profile as well. IS 800 2007 is for the built up member design, and purlin and girts are cold form members. Okay, so for that particular design you have the Codal provisions IS 801 1975, which is based on working stress method. Okay, so that is another point, because it is based on the working stress method. Then the sheeting elements are also cold form members. Okay, so use of these cold form steel sections for purlin and girts, it's offer an economical solution. Okay, and it will reduce your cost by 50 to 20%. So that's why these secondary segments are preferred. And in the Codal provisions, if you remember, for the deflection and serviceability criteria, you have the limitations on the higher side compared to the ACI one. Okay, let me just tell you that the deflection or the serviceability criteria for the main member is span by 180. Okay, that is the deflection part, and if you have the secondary member, it will be based on span by 250 or 350 depending upon axial load or the tension load. Okay, now another reference I want to give you that this particular purlins and guts, mostly they will follow the cold form sections. Okay, now if you refer any PEB segments, or if you work out their profile, they will already provide you the catalogs based on the spans and its details. Okay, and their designs are tested based on the testing and design specification. They will provide you the design based on ACI code and the BS code. Now if you want to go for a manual check of that particular specification, you can go with this reference of British code BS 5950 part 5. In this particular, the design philosophy is briefly explained. And see, our code is also followed by some of the rules based on the ACI and British code. Okay, so if you want a brief in detail, you can refer this BS 5950 part 5. Okay, now the another limitation that comes to you is about 10-meter height you have to provide fixed support to control the sway. Now as you can observe in the design part, what is the issue. Now see, next point that comes in your mind, that sir, which part we need to consider, whether we can go with the fixed support or pin support, right? So can anyone tell me what is your understanding about whether to go by fixed support or pin support? You can unmute yourself and tell me what is your understanding.
Maybe if the height of the structure increases,
Yes.
the sway criteria comes in the picture
Yes.
due to the wind load.
Yes.
So it is better to provide fixed support than pin support.
Okay. Now what about others? Nayan, Prashad, do you have any idea?
Sorry, no idea.
All right. Okay. So see, up to the ground level, we have the connectivity part, that is what we can say RCC column, right? And then we have footing like this. We provide the connection by base plate. So all your component connectivity is dependent on this base plate connection with your section profile, and that will that will provide you the connection in terms of pin or hinge support. Now next part comes in picture is your footing design. So now I am asking the same question for the footing as well. Okay, you can let's say I am modeling this structure like this, and I have a truss. Let's talk about a simple frame. Okay, now should I go with the fixed support or should I go with the pin support? I am right now talking about the foundation part, not the base plate part. Can anyone tell me which support should I prefer? Can I go with fix or can I go with pin?
I think fixed.
Okay, now how will you decide that I should go with a fixed support or pin support?